Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Monday, November 25th, 2013. This morning from InfoWars, nuclear agreement may result in Israel and Saudi Arabia attacking Iran. Most of us were happy over the weekend they'd come to an agreement, and of course we don't want war in the Middle East or the world, so this is good news. Also, these wars are used as excuses, and even these threats of wars are used as excuses to not address real problems that are immediately before us, such as Obamacare. And when the wars are ignited, they benefit the military-industrial complex, which is, in essence, the globalists, the cabal. So any report of peace, I believe, is a positive thing, particularly when the real and the relevant struggles that we are facing are right here within the good old US of A, with police state, regulations being imposed, and cameras everywhere, spying on people. Those are real problems. And as I've mentioned before, every couple weeks, it seems like there's some new crisis that we're all supposed to be alarmed about. In this case, I guess we're supposed to be happy, but of course, not everybody is happy about this. We'll put that on hold for now. And just reference Benjamin Fulford's blog this week, Weekly Geopolitical News and Analysis. Formal notice has been given to the Sabbatean Mafia. Start saving the planet or else. Everything else is blacked out because Benjamin did not even give the first couple paragraphs as he typically does. I'm not sure why, but I want to honor his wish that people, actually do subscribe to the blog. And as I've mentioned, in a few days, somebody will put this on YouTube, so you will be able to have access to it. But I wanted to refer to it because there are a few things here that I think are relevant to what is going on and can help us to put things in context. And he's basically, in this blog, writing about efforts being made to take the cabal down. And it's probably nothing that you haven't heard before. Things like unifying North and South Korea, which would remove tremendous revenues from cabal banks and things of that nature. As I said, no big news there really. But I did want to mention, and I believe that Fulford has stated this before, that he believes that the big fuss with Iran, the desire to obliterate Iran, has to do with Iran developing technologies that will render oil obsolete. And that, 3 cheers for that. And he stated that Iran is not the only country who's doing it. China also has a huge effort in that arena. So it makes sense. Iran has made a lot of money on oil, and they recognize that the time for oil dependence is going to come to an end. It's coming to an end, really. Hyundai announced a hydrogen-powered car. So as that transition occurs, Iran naturally wants to be on the cutting edge of that because they have made their money in the past on supplying energy, and as new energy technologies are developed, they are involved. And one example is Keshi Foundation. For whatever reason, their website is down, and I went there first because I had bookmarked their website. But they do still have their YouTube channel, and here you can find a lot of information about alternative energy developments and some really exciting news for the benefit of mankind going into the future. From David Icke, this is almost borders on being gossip, but Murdoch's feud with Blair over Wife Wendi. Friendship came to terminal end over claims of multiple encounters between ex-Prime Minister and Tycoon's wife. Now, I'm curious. I feel like there's more under the surface here. And if you're watching the video, there is a photo of this lady, and she is drop dead gorgeous. And evidently, she was married to Murdoch, the Fox executive, and I don't really follow these people's personal lives that closely. So I had not been aware of who she was or anything of that nature. But looking at her, I can't help but think about Nikita and, possibility that she is a spy for somebody, some kind of an operative. And Fulford has even mentioned operatives, female operatives, in his blog. And some of the things that we think are James Bond, that are only in the movies, are real life, actual manifestations of struggles between individuals, between governments. Within the context of the cabal, these people are constantly struggling with each other for dominance. And the way that they have achieved their positions has been through a struggle for dominance. And even in that context, I want to look at this video. 9 out of 10 Americans are completely wrong about this mind-blowing fact. And the fact is what wealth distribution actually is in this country. I won't get real deeply into it. The video is not that long, and I highly recommend it, especially if you have friends who don't understand what is happening in this country. This white represents the way most Americans believe that wealth should be distributed, from the poorest to the wealthiest. The green line here is how most Americans believe that wealth is distributed. In other words, the ideal, most people are aware that the ideal is not reality, but their idea of reality is somewhere in the ballpark. The truth is, wealth distribution is represented by this gray line, which the poorest Americans, in comparison, have so little that it doesn't even register on the graph. And this spike is so huge that it also does not register on the graph. And again, I recommend listening to this whole video, watching this whole video. And the thing that struck me is, and I don't want socialism, right? That's un-American, and I'm not a socialist. I don't consider myself a socialist. So I'm not asking for wealth distribution imposed by government or something like that. However, the assumption that anybody can deserve this much more wealth based on any kind of merit has to be patently false. You can say, well, they worked hard or they're smarter. Really? This much harder? And they're this much smarter? No, I don't think so. I believe, and I was pondering this, I believe that what happens here is these people who are benefits of this huge wealth spike are more ruthless, more willing to step on other people. The struggle for dominance means more to them. And is that something that that our culture really wants to reward? If you are willing to step outside the law, of course you can make more money. If you don't have a conscience and you're willing to do absolutely anything to attain success, of course you'll be able to attain success. And just the thought of Rupert Murdoch and the ex-Prime Minister of England being in a battle over some woman who, may have even seduced both of them in order to gain secrets or create this controversy, or who knows, probably multi-levels of reason for her being there. And this is all just in my mind, but this is the way the world works, and that's why my mind goes there. Now, this chart, this video of wealth distribution, this is absolute solid reality. But as I stated, I believe that the reason this occurs is because these people, many of them, not all of them probably, but many of the people in this spike, the 1%, as we call them, but it's actually a smaller number than that. But these people, many of them have been willing to commit evil deeds in order to grow their wealth. What is the answer? The first thing I thought when I watched that video yesterday was revolution. And as I said, I'm not a socialist. I'm really not calling for revolution. But we do need some technology that will alter that fact that so few have so much and so many have so little. And it is not just. I think ultimately that's what I want to say. For there to be that extreme of a difference, somehow it's not a just reward. We want people to get their just reward. If they're smart, if they work hard, if they have integrity, we want them to get a just reward. And of course, the Bible teaches that. You will prosper if you work hard. But if these kind of forces, these wicked forces that are trying to control everything, are opposed to you getting your just desserts, which may be success and financial windfall based on your hard work, you're not going to get it. We're looking and waiting to see who has a good suggestion for that, and many have been proposed, and hopefully one will gain popularity and we will have our constitutional republic and the rule of law restored, so those people who are acting outside the law will no longer be able to profit so spectacularly. Here from moralmatters.org is a blog that was written by Jim Garrow, report of 3 American heroes who said no to Obama, prevented Obama from fingering Americans' nuclear buttons. So that's great news. And I've been really liking Jim Garrow, and he posted this message on Facebook today. Jim Garrow helps put the nature of our hopes into perspective, things not seen. And he wrote about generals and others who are operating behind the scenes to the benefit of the American people and ultimately the world. And he also was writing about God and how really God and his imposition of justice, first of all, are inevitable. Reaping and sowing always happens, no matter how long it takes. And also restorative. God will restore a balance. He will raise the humble and put down the proud. And that's good encouragement, good reminder from Jim Garrow. Now, I'm not absolutely sure of Jim Garrow's place in all this. He's been presenting himself in ways that make me think that he's really a good guy. But I've noticed on Facebook, there are a couple points where my opinions diverge from his. And one is he was disappointed that Obama signed or was involved in this peace agreement with Iran. He's upset that Iran still has the capabilities that they have. Now, Benjamin Fulford said that Iran was offered nukes by the Bushes many, many years ago and turned them down. So he doesn't consider them a nuclear threat at all. Evidently, Jim Garrow does, for whatever reason. And also, Jim Garrow is kind of promoting Sarah Palin, who Fritz Springmeier says is an MK Ultra mind control slave. So there's some tension here. Maybe there are some things Jim Garrow doesn't know. And as we've heard and learned, people in government who've been involved in government are very marginalized. They only know about the things they need to know about in order to perform their functions. So it may just be that he doesn't know about some of these things. Who knows? Since we do have these kind of conflicting, there's no one source from which we can all be satisfied with news that fits into our paradigm. And of course, I want my paradigm challenged if I'm wrong. But the confusion that flows from us being used to being able to turn on CBS, ABC, NBC, especially, baby boomers, people who grew up trusting Walter Cronkite and some of these other guys. We kind of expect, I think we've been taught to expect to be able to get all of our news from one source. Well, we really can't do that anymore. We really have to process for ourselves and use our own discernment and see how everything that we hear fits, whether it makes sense or not. How do we do that? It is challenging. We have to have among many things, clean pineal gland. And here is an article from a blog called Fractal Enlightenment, which is very ethereal and mystical. The meaning of the pineal gland. And I believe this article was probably translated from some other language because it has odd sentence fragments and it's written interestingly. But great information here. Some images of pineal gland with fluoride deposits. And just some information. The best of it for me was this video from David Wilcock. David Wilcock explains the pineal gland. And I did learn some things that I had not known before, so it is, I believe, a valuable video, and so is the article. How do you cleanse your pineal gland? Well, Natural News has some suggestions. Enhance spiritual, mental, and physical well-being with a pineal gland detox. And there are some suggestions here for that. One more spy story here. This is, I guess, what characterizes today is, for the 99th Monkey News anyway, is spy stories. Infowars.com. France planned false flag terror attack in Britain. And this is a very in-depth story, and I won't get too deeply into it. Suffice it to say that we are naive indeed if we trust our governments, no matter what government we have, at least currently, until we have the rule of law restored. In closing today, a friend told me about this company. This company is owned by a man named James Stewart, and he was the man who operated Rawsome Foods. I don't know if you will recall, Rawsome was the company in Southern California that was raided by a SWAT team, armed SWAT team, for selling raw milk and raw milk cheese, various products. So evidently Rawsome Foods has not been able to transition back into being operational, and James Stewart has this company now instead. So as I said, I haven't purchased it yet, a friend has, but if you're looking for more healthy products and you want to support the good guys, this is probably a way to do it. And I'm not affiliated with this company. I was just told about it by a friend. And I really want to, I think we all want to patronize the good guys, right? We want to buy from the people we know are committed to creating a brighter future for those who will come after us. Thank you for tuning in for today's news. We may be doing some pared down versions this week just because of the holiday, and won't be doing a video on Thursday, and possibly not Friday either. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.